We can start the fifth session now, and this is the special meeting of the Constitutional Affairs panel. The purpose of the meeting is to allow deputations and individuals to express your views on the proposal regarding the 2017 election of the CE by Universal Suffrage. I will invite individual deputations and individuals to speak. Each of you will have 3 minutes. There is a timer. After 3 minutes, you'll be reminded that your time is up, and then at which time, please wrap up. And if you have any written submissions, please hand them to our secretariat, who will circulate them to members of this council. Also like to remind those attending our hearing that the views you express and the submissions you submit will not be protected by the Electricals Powers and Privileges Ordinance. When you speak, please speak close to the microphone so that we can hear you clearly. If you wish to listen to the interpretation, we do have interpretation into Cantonese and Putonghua as well as English. And before you came, we have circulated, a notice for you. And for deputations and individuals, after you have spoken, I will invite the Undersecretary for Constitutional Affairs, Mr. Lau Kong Wah, to give a brief response. And following that, I'll ask whether members have any questions. And with that, we may now start. First of all, Mr. Liu Lui. Thank you, Chairman. I represent the Confucian Academy and would like to make the following submission regarding the consultation paper for the 2017 CE election by Universal Suffrage. First of all, the election for the CE election and the election for electoral should follow the basic law and the decision of the MPCNC in order that we can observe the spirit of the rule of law. And also the consultation paper on political reform, and within the framework of the decision by the MPCNC on August 31, put forward a specific proposal for universal suffrage. First of all, it is proposed that we have a nomination committee to nominate candidates for the CE election, and any one who wants to be a candidate must obtain nominations from 100 members, so that, and then all members of the nomination committee will vote. And any candidates who obtain more than half of the votes, then we will have 2 to 3 candidates being put forward for the election. We believe that this election would enable the optimal use of our electoral resources, and we will have, several rounds of election under supervision before we end up with the successful candidate. Long time ago, Confucius already proposed that there should be free election, and he also advocated that we should elect the capable to be our leaders, and that we should. So we hope that people from all walks of life can learn from the wisdom of our predecessors, and that we'll be able to be accommodative and tolerant of each other's opinion. Fourthly, the Occupy Central Movement 2 months ago has indicated that the central government and the SAR government has been most tolerant and willing to listen to the views of the different views of the people. Of course, nothing can be achieved overnight. Universal suffrage is the ultimate objective for Hong Kong, and I think we need to achieve that according to the actual circumstances of Hong Kong. I hope that people with different political opinion will think about the long-term welfare of the people of Hong Kong and accept the proposal for the universal suffrage of the CE in 2017, and then we will review the system after the 2017 election and further enhance the system. Finally, I'd like to suggest that the SAR government would also commit resources so that during the second round of the consultation, there should be more publicity so that more members of the public will understand about universal suffrage and that the proposal will get more support from more of the people.
個市民嘅身份嚟。
Ken Wai-yi, I speak as a citizen. Like many people, I was born in Hong Kong, grew up and was educated here. I'm now a teacher in a tertiary institution. I didn't emigrate before 1997. I believe people who serve here will do their best to preserve freedom and democracy. All along, I've been a member of the silent majority. It's the first time I come to these hearings to express my views because I've always believed that the officials try to safeguard the core values of Hong Kong. Now, today I come here, I want to speak and tell you that I am against the August 31st decision. I am against that decision, and I'm against the functional constituencies which should be abolished. Now we are in the minority, and in the umbrella movement of 79 days, and even now on the streets of Hong Kong, people say that they want genuine universal suffrage. The officials tell us to pocket the decision first. Now, over the days, I see that the blue umbrellas and the slogan, I want genuine universal suffrage, have been turned into a no in Hong Kong. Now, I want to ask the officials responsible for political reform. You also grew up in this city. To a large extent, this city nurtured you. You see all these members of the public not seeking their selfish interests, but wanting genuine universal suffrage. They slept on the streets. They were beaten by the police. They suffered tear gas. Now, does your conscience condone that? Now, I say to you, I don't recognize you on conscience. Now, it's irrational to make such a discussion. I'm told to pocket the decision first. I can see no rationale in it. It's so abstract. I don't know what can be discussed. Now, compared to the past couple of decades, there have been retrogression in Hong Kong's democracy and media freedom and so on. I have no confidence in the government. I see nothing that you have done to make us confident. Next, Mr. Do Cho Ki. Now, we have the opportunity right before us to make a big step forward in the democratic development of Hong Kong. I ask the pan-democratic candidates to make a contribution as people with normal wisdom should. Now, we should find ways to improve upon the election of CE by 1,200 persons. Now, the Occupy protesters argue that this method is worse than the 1,200 person election method. But this is absurd because they do not look at the whole. The 5 million members of the electorate will eventually be voting. Now, previously they demanded a lot, but now they don't accept what's offered. Now, the Central People's Government will not reverse the August 31st decision. You are now wasting time. Now, the pan-democrats have been very disappointing. they distort the truth. Now, you can ask the Civic Party, the Mr. Chen Ka-lok, Dr. Chen Ka-lok, who is an expert on international relations. Now, they say they promote democracy, and they say even if more than half the members of the public want to pass the current reforms, they would still be against it because they are standing on their principles. Now, they sound like dictators, even though they say they want to promote democracy. I hope the pan-democrats will change their mind. Mr. Cheng Yat Long Leon. I speak as a young person, a young university student. Some young people are against the Occupy movement. Now on the consultation today, now on the constitution of the nominating committee, there is a lot of controversy. Now, we should improve on the current method by which the committee is made up. Now, I think the threshold can be reduced from 120 to 100 for nomination. I think there should be 2 rounds of nomination of voting. We should have universal suffrage based on the basic law and rule of law in accordance with rule of law in Hong Kong, and I think we are moving in the right direction. I would like to point out that the nominating committee should continue. Now, there are some of those who are in the minority have their views overridden by those in the majority. Now, Hong Kong has 1 country, 2 systems, and we know that there should be progressional development of our political system, and I think that's the way we should go. Mr. Leung Ham Fat. Now, the SAR government has formally started the 2nd round of political reform consultation. Now, the mainstream of the public do want to go ahead. Now, Article 75 already lists the targets. Then the relevant NPC decision of 2007 already says that we can have election of CE by universal suffrage. Now, we should try to realize that objective based on the August 31st decision by the NPC. That decision says that the consultative nominating committee should be made up of the 4 sectors and made up of 1,200 members, and there should be 2 to 3 candidates, each with more than half of the member support. Now, there will be election by each of the 5 million qualified voters in Hong Kong, and that will be a program there will be a program to gain support of members of the public, so the people will be able to exercise greater influence than in the past. There is a chance for the democratic system to progress. Now, political development, development of new systems take a long time. We keep improving the method of universal suffrage. I think it's important to implement these steps rather than to stay put. Now, we need progressive evolution. We cannot achieve our goal in one step. We should end the long-standing arguments. Now, Hong Kong is a diversified community, and people can freely express their views. I'm studying law. I'm a member of the post-80s generation. I know the views expressed by young people, but we must also respect our constitution. The election method should be in accordance with the August 31st decision and with the basic law. So I hope the members should demonstrate their political sense of responsibility. Ms. Chen Chao-Wah, I'm against the August 31st decision, and I support the abolition of functional constituencies. Now, according to the UN conventions, we cannot limit anyone from running for election. Everyone should have the right to stand for election. And the UN Human Rights Committee has been concerned about about women being prevented from participating in politics. Now, if we go along the direction of the August 1st decision, the major conglomerates or consortia will have greater power, and the policy address this year has not proposed any consultation for women's equality, and the public rental housing are going to be sold at high prices. Small businesses have to pay high rents. Middle class have to pay very expensive housing by installments. And the government says it wants to develop capital-intensive agriculture. Now, we have a lot of injustice, and people lay the blame on the Occupy movement. Have you finished? Yes. Ms. Rita Chung, now since the reunification, democracy has retrogressed. Now, Mr. Tong Chi-Hwa and his successors, one is worse than the other. The senior officials live luxurious lives while the people suffer, and
官同埋藍絲帶等人，對人嘅香港人生活毫無保障。去年一場雨傘運動，有咁多香港人出嚟做反對831嘅政改框架，點解啊？係因為小圈子嘅選舉、功能嘅組別、委任制嘅官員等等不公義，全都係為咗一己私欲，沒有為民生和福祉。假面具下嘅高官同埋權貴，時時都聽話議會上嘅議員唔好拉布，要為民生和建設。咁樣東北嘅發展、高鐵嘅工程、創新科技局等等，係咪為咗普羅市民啊？政府成日話有表明為民生嘅津貼同埋資助，全部都要審查，係咪合理呢？假設香港所有嘅議案基建全部通過嘅，香港儲備花晒，咁香港人老無所依嘅話，點樣生存啊？香港係咪會變咗第二個國內嘅鄉鎮呢？未來嘅想像我唔敢諗啦。好多未清楚政改嘅市民有冇明白到，我哋嘅689政府自從上任以嚟，一 直冇為香港人謀福祉，點樣對待我哋一班中下基層嘅14蚊定律呢？今日我哋要普選係為咗改變個制度，同埋攞翻個公義同埋公平嘅社會。
Change the system to improve the system. Now, if we have poor political development, Hong Kong will eventually become a very despised city internationally. We want a fair and just system. Now, the government is trying to confuse the people, and finally, I am not able to emigrate, so I am among the protesters.
Mr. Wong Yun Tat, I've been working for more than 10 years. More than 10 years ago at the central government office, I saw the gates being erected. Nowadays, the central government office is being surrounded by gates and people are not allowed to go inside. And the security check into Lecture is now becoming more and more stringent. We're asked to put down whatever we take along with us before we can enter the chamber. And this shows that the government is more and more distancing itself from the public, and the walls it's becoming taller and taller. And it is inevitable that the protests will become more and more radical, and it's more likely that people with radical ideas would appear. And this is not something that we want to see, but undeniably this is the trend that we are looking at. I think the government should become more and more democratic and just before there can be any light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, Hong Kong will see the emergence of something like the ISIS in Hong Kong. The government always tell the people of Hong Kong that we should pocket the present proposal now, but indeed it is true that we're going to have the right to vote. But what about the nomination? We actually, what is being proposed now is actually, step in the reverse direction. And many people in Hong Kong understand this very well, although some people choose to speak out, others do not. Some people have to make a living and they have nothing to do. Those who have the ability are already thinking of leaving Hong Kong. Is this really a good sign for Hong Kong? The decision of the NBC on August the 31st indeed is a step in the reverse direction. I would rather stay put as far as the political reform package is concerned. If the nomination by the nomination committee, previously it was 1/8 to 1/10, and after the nomination and if that were the case, and then people are asked to elect a CE one man, one vote, then the people of Hong Kong may accept that. Even the pan-democrats may accept that. The decision of August 31st is that we should allow the nomination committee first of all screen out the candidate before we can cast a vote. So why are we still lying to ourselves? Although I sound very pessimistic, I hope that one day, eventually, we're going to have civil nomination. And it's not easy to have civil nomination. In many countries, they have set very high thresholds. If the threshold is that you must obtain nomination by 100 or 200,000 people, that is a very high threshold. But at least civil nomination will at least give back the right to the general public, so that they don't have to shake hands with the rich and powerful, and still they can come forward as a candidate for the election. Next, Mr. Lee Chung-hei, would you like to speak now because you've just come into the chamber? Thank you. I'm Lee Chung-hei. I think what is proposed in the consultation paper are only minor improvements. The most important part is how the nomination committee is going to be formed. The government is using the decision of MPC to actually crush the aspiration of the people of Hong Kong that they should nominate members to the nomination committee. We want genuine, universal suffrage, and that universal election where all candidates have equal rights to be nominated and to contest the election. This is a system which applies applies to the district council election. Why is it that for the CE election we can't have civil nomination? According to the proposed composition of nomination committee, the candidates for the CE election will certainly be the spokesperson for the business sector and for China, and we'll never have our own CE. It's like the pro-government camp, they will simply turn out to be voting machines. The spirit under the Lion Rock means that the spirit of self-reliance, but I think that spirit is fading. The rich and powerful are not only monopolizing our economy, and also through the small circle election and functional constituencies, they are monopolizing political power. So that no matter how much we contribute, we never get anything in return. Some people say that we can fight the communists. But I think that is wrong. I think the communists cannot win because we are people with a conscience. So if we cannot, beat the communists, do we have to surrender? Why is it that our seniors who try so hard to come to Hong Kong because they want to actually run away from the communists? The spirit of Lion Rock should reflect the young generation's refusal to be controlled and manipulated, and that we should actually, so some people would say that let's elect our CE first, so that this can become we can set an example for the mainland. So what example can we set for China? In China, they already have universal suffrage for the officials at the county and rural levels. But except that they've set very high thresholds. Right now we are borrowing the system from China, and then Beijing is telling the people in China that this is the standard for genuine universal suffrage, because even a cosmopolitan city like Hong Kong elect the CE like that. So I don't think we're not just being told to pocket the present proposal. What is being proposed, we have to pocket for life. Even if in future we have the ability to enhance that system, how much enhancement can there be? So our demand is very simple. We should really, have genuine, true, universal suffrage and election of the city by universal suffrage. Next, Mr. Lee Ting Fung is not able to attend, so Mr. Ao Yang has already spoken during the last session. Well, I think all kinds of fallacious arguments are being put forward, and the NPCAC decision of August 31st is also unacceptable. We have this joke about, the Avengers proposal. In 2007-8, we were denied universal suffrage, so same happened in 2012, and the NPCAC has set all these restrictions. So we now have this proposal for, letting down the 5 gates. The basic law stipulates that the CE is to be elected by is to be chosen by election or consultation. So in the present proposal, there is no proposal for consultation, and therefore in the 18 districts in Hong Kong, we should add, a process for a consultative conference, so that we can, through consultation, come up with a CE candidate that is acceptable to everyone. So that's the first gate or restriction, that should be consultation, amongst the people of Hong Kong, because we already have a lot of experience with such consultation. And secondly, we should abolish the corporate votes. The basic law also stipulates that other than, it is basically also said that the CE should represent the different sectors, but I don't see the nomination committee represent all the different sectors. They only represent the rich and powerful. Of all the 4 sectors and the subsectors, I hope that we can elect the members of the nomination committee from the different sectors. Of the 46 subsectors, we can also have, members, elected from the rich and the powerful, the elites, and also from the grassroots level, so that the CE candidate can lobby the people belonging to the 100-odd sectors. And thirdly, you say that the threshold should be more than 50%. We have 46 subsectors. Why don't we set the threshold at 50% across the board, so that within the nomination committee you will hold 46 elections, so that a candidate who has obtained 50% of the votes among of all the 46 subsectors, only then can he come forward as a candidate. Fortunately, Mrs. Carrie Lam, when he submitted the first report, told us that he has actually drawn 6 lines, and he has 8 options, and in that case I think the threshold should be set at 1/8. Next, Mr. Yam Kok Kay, Chairman. For this session you have not read out the names of the deputations. I'd like to stipulate first of all that I represent the C689 Alliance. Oh, I don't mention the names of organizations for all the sessions. Never mind. During these 3 sessions, I like to also, mention the name of the organization I represent. If the pro-government camp is so confident, I think you should let the people of Hong Kong to decide on the members of the nomination committee by referendum. You should at least obtain 689 votes. If you think that the pan-democratic camps are not getting the support of the people of Hong Kong, why don't you, resort to, a referendum? If you lose the election, you can still be a government official. You say we must follow the law, but this is not, a law that is popular with the people of Hong Kong, and one day the people of Hong Kong will tell you that your claim that we must follow the basic law is not, going to get the support of the people of Hong Kong. I mean, over the last 70 days, I think you have to rely on the police to right now you are ignoring public opinion, you are imposing all these restrictions. Never mind, you will win, because with the existence of the functional constituencies, you always have majority in this council. I therefore like to urge you, if you dare, please put forward the 689 proposal for the nomination committee election. Chairman, you will also return in the electoral election by civil nomination, and your party always opposed to civil nomination. So what do we mean by civil nomination? We're talking about, well, Mrs. Carrie Lam is always talking about the 5 million eligible voters to nominate. They should nominate the candidate for the C election. For the election that you had contested in the past, there was also civil nomination. I don't know whether or not there have been any consultation as well. I don't know. We don't have one from the the pro-government camp except for Mr. Sheikh. I think most of them they don't want to listen to us. But never mind. We certainly will continue to speak out. So will our next generation, because it is our right. If you dare, you can put forward a 689 nomination proposal for the people to decide on by means of a referendum. I think, please, what I'm talking about, a referendum and not an opinion poll, and I'm sure many from the pan-democratic camp will also support your proposal. Chairman, I'm Yang Ho Chin. I belong to a pragmatic political party, and I believe that the decision of the NPCAC on August 31st should be the basis out of which we should find some way out. And with that framework, I think we still have a choice when we need to elect a C election. But the precondition is that we must have a vote. So I think we should resort to local legislation, focus our attention on the composition of the nomination committee, how we can expand the electorate, and also details regarding the universal suffrage arrangements, so that we can enhance the credibility and democratic element of the nomination committee, and ensure that under the existing framework we will try to attain the maximum democracy. And we also have a more specific proposal. We should expand the electorate for the nomination committee. We should change corporate votes into votes by the executives, so that we can enhance the credibility and representativeness of the nomination committee.
可以分為兩個階段啦。
The selection of the CE candidates should be in 2 stages. The first stage, anyone should be able to get, if he gets 1/8 of the members' support, he should be able to go through. Now, those who run, they would be able to be nominated. They have a greater chance, and we suggest that the nominating committee members each should be able to cast 2 to 3 votes so that 2 to 3 candidates can be elected. Now, on the universal suffrage, we think that the blank vote should not be included. Whoever gets the largest number of votes should be the winner. And we should also learn from some other countries so that there will be mandatory voting by the entire electorate so as to win great. Next, Mr. Eric Chung. I'm of the Alliance for Concern about Political Reform. Now, we should be pragmatic. Hong Kong is part of China. Now, any election package for the CE, we must be in accordance with the basic law and the MPC decision. Now, whether we can have one person, one vote for election of CE in 2017, it depends on what we do now. The August 31st decision has laid down a framework and relevant principles. Now, people have different views, and yet we must not engage in excessive tussle. Now, on the current framework, we have a choice. For instance, the makeup of the nominating committee and the expansion of the electorate base, the expansion of the sectors. I have the following proposals. First, now on expanding the electorate base of the nominating committee, we should replace corporate votes by votes by employees. Now, the selection procedure of the candidates. Now, in the first stage, anyone should be able, who gets 1/8 of the support of the 1,200 members should be able to run. And the voting procedure by the nominating committee, we propose that each member should be able to cast 3 votes. There should be no blank votes in the universal voting. Now, if the government makes it easy for people to run, I think many qualified people would run. Now, we don't want a lot of disturbance, so Hong Kong's democratization should adopt a progressive approach rather than the risk of instability. The final package may not be a perfect one, but as long as we move forward so that Hong Kong people can cast 1 vote each to elect the CE, people still have a choice. So pocketing the decision first means that we can still move forward later. Mr. Henry Law, I represent the small group on concern about constitutional affairs. Now, on the 50% threshold for nomination of CE by the nominating committee, now the NC members also have to win over 50% support themselves. And once people are nominated, then they can be elected by 1 person, 1 vote. It is at least no worse than the current situation. So the pan-democratic candidate should not be so obstinate. Now, the British official Hugo Swire, in response to a question, said that it's better than nothing. Now he's responsible for foreign affairs. His views are in accordance with international standards. Another UK official, Stephen Layham, he was asked a similar question. Mr. Leahy's response said that he assessed that the current package can stand a good chance to achieving that target. So the pan-democratic members should be content because there is the opportunity for them to realize their goal. Now, there is another way to select members to the NC as a sector of citizens. They can be selected randomly like a jury. So these are some of my personal views. They are all in accordance with the August 31st decision in the Basic Law, and they also in accordance with public views. Now, since some members of the pan-democrats dislike Mr. C.Y. Leung, now I think that if you pass the political reform package, then you can exercise your power because you say you have 50 to 60% of the popular vote, and then you can kick out Mr. Leung. Mr. Patrick Koh, I represent Voice of Loving Hong Kong. I would like to offer some advice or even warning to the pan-democratic members. Now, I speak on the grounds of law and reason. Now, on grounds of law, the Chinese government has always said that Hong Kong is also under China's sovereignty. The central government is accepted as the legal sovereign. The PRC is the legal sovereign. The Hong Kong government has to act in accordance with the decisions by the Central People's Government. The August 31st decision has already been made. It cannot be overturned. The local government, now there may be 2 or 3 people or individuals who want to overturn the MPC decision. Now that is unrealistic and unreasonable. And also on grounds of reason and now I think it's stupid to want to engage in all sorts of behavior that cannot be condoned. You just want to engage in this group behavior, and you say nobody can turn back from this course. Now, if you are a pan-democrat and if you indeed seek justice and democracy, you should rethink your stance. Now, I think you will lose out when there is a vote. If you cast a vote against this package, I think a large number of you will be abandoned by your electorate in the next LegCo elections. You will lose your LegCo remuneration, which is high. Now, a lot of you are receiving contributions from those operating in the black box. Your time is up. Ms. Lam King To, Now, the Association of Chinese Culture strongly supports the August 31st decision for the Universal Suffrage of CE in 2017. The MPCSC is the highest authority in the country. We should respect the MPC's decisions. That is the key to implementing Universal Suffrage of CE in 2017. Here we have a local election. We should understand the relationship between the Hong Kong government and the central government, so that we can properly conduct our relationship with the country. We should have regard to the national security and safety interests. Now, the decision says that there will be a nomination committee of 1,200. Now, the CE election of 2017, in fact, that's the 5 million eligible voters cast the vote instead of the nominating committee. Now, Hong Kong is going to move forward in the long term. We should have the correct approach by making the first step, and only then can we benefit the Hong Kong economy and the people's livelihood. Now, we must make a compromise on the basis of on correct basis. Now, if you seek genuine universal suffrage, that is unrealistic and it's irresponsible. Hong Kong is a diverse society and a free society. You should respect the views of others. You can choose to vote the way you like or not to vote, but you should let the election package move forward. You should not deprive other people of the right to vote. Now, the MPC is the highest legislative authority of Hong Kong. If you are against the MPC decision, then people can also rise up against the legislative decisions. Now, please let the people have a universal suffrage. Next, Ms. Yu Xiao Min, I am in support of the MPC decision for the universal suffrage of CE in 2017. Now, I have several proposals. First, the nominating committee should stay at 1,200, 4 sectors, and the subsectors that are under the 4 sectors. These are all accepted by the public. People are familiar with them. So we want stability, and also the term of the NC members should be 5 years, so that when there's election of CE, there can also be a new body of NC, and also we think that the CE should not be a member of any political party. Next, Mr. Chen Ka-chung. I wholly support the August 31st decision, the framework for universal suffrage for CE in 2017. Now, in the second round consultation document, I have the following views. First, the composition of the NC should follow the arrangement for the election committee, 1,200 members, 4 sectors, 38 subsectors, same method for coming up with the electorate. The nomination by 2 stages, 100 members can recommend a candidate. Now, and there should be 3 candidates who each with over 50% support. The nominating committee members should have a term of 5 years, and when there is universal suffrage of the CE, we should have first passed the post system, and we should amend the CE election ordinance so that if the CE is not appointed by the central government, there should be renewed election.
Why? The government has been telling the people that we can now pocket the proposal for the 2017 CE election by universal suffrage. There could be more changes in 2012. But I think we've been waiting for this for 18 years. Even now, the SAR government is trapping the people of Hong Kong within the framework of the NPCSC decision of August 31st. During the umbrella movement, those who participated in the protest would, without hesitation, refuse to accept this pocket the present proposal suggestion. The CE, despite the protest movement, is ignoring the fury of the people of Hong Kong. He is still, imposing such unpopular policies on the people of Hong Kong and insist on his way. During the umbrella movement, tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets. And they were treated with violence, and despite that, despite the fact that many people have been beaten, in the head, they still refuse to give in. I know one protester whose name is Ah Long. On the 5th of November, he was beaten up by police in Mong Kok. The 4th and 5th rib was seriously ruptured. His right hand became numb, and even now he has to sit on a wheelchair. Tens of thousands of people risked their personal safety or took the risk of being arrested and put in prison, participated in the Occupy movement. Did they do that simply because of the they want to accept the Occupy, the present proposal first? We have a new term called the umbrella generation. This is a generation who have waken up and realized that they should be in charge of their own destiny. I believe if the CE or the SAR government continue to adopt this arrogant attitude and ignore the aspirations of the people of Hong Kong, it will only, stimulate more, people joining the umbrella generation. If CY Leung thinks that you have tens of thousands of police and therefore you have the ability to suppress any disturbances, then you are very wrong. Because one day when all of Hong Kong becomes the occupied district like Mong Kok, and everyone becomes like Ah Long, the protester, do you think the SR government can still administer Hong Kong effectively? Can the police still enforce the law effectively? Finally, I'd like to quote something from the Bible to Mr. Lau Kwong Wah and the SR government. And this is a quote from the book of Isaiah, chapter 57, verses 20 to 27. Only the evil would stir up trouble, and God said, the evil will never have peace of mind. Next, Mr. Yukin Kayin. I represent the Hong Kong United Youth Association Limited. Regarding the election of CE by Universal Suffrage in 2017, I think that represents the aspirations of the people of Hong Kong. The second consultation has now begun. This is the second and a half leg of the five-step procedure. Based on the result of the consultation, the government will come forward with a concrete proposal for Let's Go to approve. I think we need to proceed in accordance with the law. And regarding the composition of the nomination committee, our association believes that the decision of August 31st by the NPCSC is already very clear. On the premise of that we follow the law, I don't think we should change for the sake of changes. And I think we should stick to, an arrangement that is proven to be effective. Regarding the formula for the candidates to be elected, I think there should be two-stage process. First of all, recommendation by members of the nominating committee. Any candidate successful candidate should, any candidate get a nomination by recommendation by 122 members of the nominating committee will be nominated. And I suggest that each candidate can get no more than 200 recommendations. And then the nominating committee should, by way of secret ballot, cast the votes, and each member should be able to cast 2 votes to nominate the CE candidate, and finally we will end up with 2 official candidates for the election. Our association believes that political reform is a very important milestone in our political development. People from all walks of life should participate in it actively. I'm very happy that we have so many people attending the hearing today. Under the framework of the Basic Law and the NPCSC decision, we should put forward constructive proposals. Only then can we implement universal suffrage, and that the system can continuously be fine-tuned and enhanced. At the moment, before us is the 2017 CE election. Recently, there have been a lot of opinion expressed suggesting that the CPG should first of all make a commitment regarding the democracy for the 2020 electoral election in exchange for the endorsement of the President's proposal for the CE election for 2017. I think that is tantamount to blackmailing the central government, and I don't think that can be realized. It is our objective that the government should implement a platform communication and also to fight for more young people to participate in the work of the nomination committee. When policies are being formulated, they should also incorporate the views of young people. Mr. Young Pang, thank you. I agree with the Basic Law and the decision of the NPCSC on August 31st. In the CE election for 2017 by Universal Suffrage, I believe, or I think, that the functional constituencies can stay. As for the nomination committee, I think any candidate who has the recommendation of 100 members of the nomination committee can come forward as the candidate, and each member of the nomination committee can recommend one candidate. And when voting on the candidates, candidates who has obtained, the 2 or 3 candidates who have obtained more than 50% of the votes can officially become the candidates. And the nomination committee should allow the candidates a chance to publicly state the manifesto so that they can win the support of the people. And the term of the nomination committee should follow the stipulations in the Basic Law, namely it should be for 5 years. And when there is a vacancy arising from the post of the CE, we can arrange for the by-election in time. And when we have CE election by universal suffrage, there should be 2 rounds of voting, and the CE designate is not appointed by the CPG. The nomination committee can, can start a new round of election. The CE should not belong to any political party, because if a member of a political party became the chief executive, he may be partial to the political party that he belongs. Having heard the views of different deputations so far, some people said that they would demand for universal suffrage. But have you ever thought that when Hong Kong was ruled by the British government, was the governor elected by the people of Hong Kong? I don't think that was the case. The governor was only, sent over to Hong Kong from Britain, and the people in Hong Kong didn't raise any objection. But now that we've come to this juncture in a history, people are speaking out. But it's a good thing for people that people have this freedom to speak out. Next, Ms. Lam.
環中之邪，諸天然盤宣布佢商談書面嘅工廠主人下，終因佢推諸新符驅動盤上嘅紙簽佢長義，書動用珠簾甩，塔聯於天命且早離家住倍，還少張長君。有樹古樹區長辭書佢知你睇仔定帶佢搶過整架橙皮會主田插拍真係差啊！做定勇刀殘餘，呢家以上車拍衝雖然 DUD 翻兩次錢都只會俾，川府塔內暖暖天影佢，出去聽選好想選專長君子超詞號。邊遮住邊區真係離下，工廠輕巧及少嘅獨天，此處公處，而此故上喘長官拍拍要請辭啲，揚聲聽諸街都超通過落，諸驚天地而呼 B 超和烏之從出來你做廟戲。黃文超旁邊書先孭排佢啲，若須你呢拍。胡聽誰嘅真格塔聯處錢羅張撒咩產，最終都佢拉唔住後，將更苦面嘅長條以湯頭，即係透明嘅乳頭。
Welcome to use Baidu Translate. It is a free automatic translator that gives you instant multilingual translation.
如果
If you think that what I've just played to you is nonsense, well, that is indeed nonsense. I'd like to thank Baidu Translation 2017. We shouldn't miss the opportunity, and the consultative document on the 2017 CE election by Universal Suffrage. I am against any form of election which has an element of screening. I want genuine, universal suffrage. Next, Mr. Chen Shi-sin. I support 689. I support 831. I want to pocket the present proposal. I want fake, universal suffrage. I support 689. I support 831. I want to pocket the present proposal. I want fake universal suffrage. I support 689. I support 831. August 31. I want fake universal suffrage. I want to pocket the present proposal. I support 689. I support 8 August 31. I want fake universal suffrage. I want to pocket the present proposal. I support 689. I support 831. I want to pocket what is proposed. I want fake universal suffrage. I support 689 and 831. I want to pocket what is proposed. I want fake universal suffrage. Do you need to repeat that? Well, I can, do away with that. Annex 1 of the Basic Law. Well, this is also Annex 1. These three documents mention the word people. How many times has it referred to the term people? Lau Kong Hua, do you know? A total of 11 times and 6 times respectively. If we add the two together, do you know how many times that would be? In the context where the word people appear, they're talking about the MPCSC and the People's Republic. Anything they refer to does not really refer to the people at all. And reference to the people is absent here. So what are we talking about in terms of election?
I don't know whether you've seen this. I hope you have. I finished. Next, Mr. Yu Tek Man. Now, actually, I'm not very clear on what I want genuine universal suffrage. Rather, I know well about universal suffrage with selection. Just take a secondary school. Now, if the chairperson of the Students' Association is nominated by the vice principal, and there are 2 candidates, and thereafter each student casts a vote to elect the chairperson, this is still a universal suffrage with pre-selection. This way the students would not be really represented. The students would know that this is only a they are only playing these persons are only playing a minor role, and they really only represent the school. Now, in most secondary schools, the students are able to form election teams so that the students can elect the chairperson of the Students' Association by 1 person, 1 vote. And yet in the adult world, there is universal suffrage with pre-selection, and they say it's a progressive approach. No wonder the students are scolding the adults. Now, this is a power play. I don't know what's genuine universal suffrage, but in order to face the young people, we must turn down the universal suffrage with pre-selection. We must support universal suffrage with civic nomination. Next. Ms. Yu Pu-shan, you haven't turned on the mic. I don't know what's meant by I want genuine universal suffrage, but I want to tell you I want genuine universal suffrage. I finished. Next. Ms. Clara Chung.
鄰在要不，自治力能有人港鄉信箱要過雪早，連4891平小鄧實期。若公治國，利權治政和，利權民工足底也。扶商不並，神精的明星合聯英中與假框的定設大人，法辦舉選的體具制限權無但，選譜行實否是港本定確能指委常大人，中部二帝的曲部五在，定規法式4002和法本機照案。以下係
Now, I'm now going to read that in normal logic. According to the interpretation by the MPCSC, the MPCSC decision is not in accordance with international conventions. Now, Deng Xiaoping already said in 1984, he said that Hong Kong people must be trusted to govern themselves. They must not be a colony anymore. We must be self-confident. We adopt a system of one country, two systems. This is not momentary emotion. This is not a play in tactics. This takes into account the history of Hong Kong and the reality. This was said by Mr. Deng Xiaoping in 1984. Now, if we reverse the logic, then most people will not understand what's said. Now, in the umbrella movement, a member of the public has come up with a very good slogan. Your time is up. Next, Mr. Chang Man Chai. Speak human language. What are you talking about? Members of LegCo, officials, everyone. If you do not believe it, don't say it. If you believe in something, say it. Self-confidence, being a human person. Now, all these consultation documents, despite all the written objections, it's still passed. I'm not a member of the Blue Ribbon Movement. I am a peaceful, rational Blue Ribbon person. There are several millions of Blue Ribbon persons in Hong Kong. Have you listened to their views? Where is your conscience? You serve a small minority. Hong Kong has given up, has lost so much. Our children, our future generations have lost out to this small group who have intervened in affairs for their own benefits. Now, I'd like to ask the Undersecretary, in the future upcoming political reforms, what is there that can help the Blue Ribbon public, the broad public? What is there that can prevent these people who hurt Hong Kong to prevent them from becoming CE? All the government departments, even those in health matters, how can the system help the broad public so that we don't suffer so hard, so much? If you think this will work, now all the officials, all the members, your children will not study abroad. You won't have to get them foreign passports. So please act in accordance with your conscience. Where is your confidence? Now it's well said. Now they are of yellow ribbon, I'm of blue ribbon, but it's well said. Mr. Deng Xiaoping, our great leader, said, sorry, your time is up. The last to speak, Mr. Wong Ho Ming. Now I am the commander of a group. Now I was going to bring a diaper with feces inside, but it's been confiscated, so I will seek. I will get even with a final way to sort this out with you later. Now, the Undersecretary should explain why the Secretary is not here. He is ignoring the public. Now, what's the second round of consultation about? Now, they dare not say that civic nomination is not in accordance with the basic law. Now, they now say it's not in accordance with the CCP's wishes. Now, Can the basic law be amended? If it can be amended, why not amend it to include civic nomination? The Chinese Constitution has been amended several times. Now, you ask us what instances of civic nomination are there in other parts of the world. Now, you tell me how many instances of nominating committee are there in other parts of the world, which is more common. You say that there can be further reform in 2022. Now, where is the end of such change? When will such change be finally concluded? Now, looking at the current package, you won't make any change in 2016. How can there be progressive approach? How can there be abolition of functional constituencies? I was going to give you feces, but the security took it. Now, I was told that there is choice. Now, the Hong Kong delegates to the NPC, nobody can vote to choose them. I'd like to ask the security staff here, how have you been able to choose any of them? This is pre-selection. This is why I say universal suffrage, we must rely on ourselves. Now, the deputations and individuals have spoken. I would like to ask the Undersecretary, Mr. Lau Kong Wah, to make an overall response to the speakers. Thank you, Chairman, and I thank the deputations for being here today and offering quite a number of views. They have spoken on the constitution of the nominating committee, the term, the nominating procedures, and the election methods. All these we have taken note of, and in the second quarter we can make further proposals on those bases. Now, some speakers support the August 31st decision. They want us to engage in more publicity, and they hope that there can be further improvement to avoid further political wrangle, and they say that it's better to move forward and to have choice instead of no choice. Now, we agree with those. But there are also speakers against the August 31st decision. They clearly expressed that they would rather prefer no progress, the status quo, and they are firmly against the August 31st decision. And some speakers have used different ways to express their views. This is very normal phenomenon in our society. It's a very major, it's very controversial issue. It affects 7 million people, 5 million voters. People's political rights are involved. I've been sitting here since 9 a.m. I feel that many speakers today, whatever their views, have spoken in a more peaceful atmosphere. Now, just now, a speaker mentioned many social and economic problems right now, and a speaker also talked about our political ecology right now. They all revolve around the 1,200 strong nominating committee. Now, if you think so many problems originate from the election by 1,200 people, now this political reform package offers, in fact, a way out so that we can have election by 5 million voters. From whatever perspective, election by 5 million is much more positive than election by 1,200. Of course, we don't feel that after election by 5 million, we can resolve all our socio-economic problems in Hong Kong. But one point is very important. Since reunification, we have gone through many major political wrangles. If we can pass the current package, at least on the political side, the wrangle will be reduced and the society will move forward. And after the CE is elected by universal suffrage, we will next be able to tackle the election of members to Legco. We can move in steps. Now, if the package is voted down in Legco, there will be several problems. Now, some people said that we should restart 5-step procedure. Now, for the current term of government, we have already gone through several steps, so we cannot talk about restarting the 5-step procedure. So, because now an election by 1200 in 2017, that would recur.
So that is the choice we have to make now. Another thing that is even more unfortunate is that if we were to endorse the present proposal for the 2017 CE election, if we don't approve that, then we wouldn't be able to have universal suffrage for the 2020 Legco election, and we think that would be a pity. Thirdly, if we vote down the present proposal, can we get a better deal in future? Nobody can say. So some people have given us lots of valuable advice, and I'm grateful to them for such advice. But as officials, whether it's the team responsible for political reform or other civil servants, we have to act in accordance with the law. We must cherish the rule of law in Hong Kong. After several months, people are cherishing all the more the rule of law in Hong Kong. So democracy and the rule of law, are part and parcel of the same foundation. So today we need to comply with the basic law and the decision of the MTCSC. That is the legal basis and legal foundation that we have to uphold before we can further promote our work regarding political reform. Some people ask how we can enable other people or persuade other people to change. We fully understand that the proposal that we're now putting forward will be accepted by everyone. But we are convinced of one thing, and that is 5 million eligible voters exercising the political right will be respected if we implement this proposal. We hope that for electoral members who want to oppose the present proposal, they would change their mind. It's now time for members to ask questions. We have Mr. Leung Kwok-hong and Dr. K.K. Kwok, and each of you will have 5 minutes. Mr. Leung. Okay, I'll give it to Lau Kong-wah later on. Honestly, I think Tam Yo-jong accepted that the Fiji perhaps I think the Fiji is the best thing in the world. Agriculture requires on human manure. That's right. You don't have to be afraid. I don't think these are things we should say in our chamber. Let's stick to the topic of 2017 CE election. Why are you so afraid of the human Fiji? I think it's even better than human beings, except that it stinks to be called, species, and people would stay away from you. Well, to put it simply, and using myself as an example, if I want to contest the C election, I've contested the electoral election so many times. Every time I have successfully obtained more than 40,000 votes. If 200,000 people can, make a civil nomination, I certainly can win that civil nomination. The NPCAC is now, pulling down the shutters, and because of that, I certainly will not be able to win the election. Why is it that I'm being screened out? Why can't I be, first of all, declared a candidate, and then you will ensure I won't win the election, in the end? Some people say, let's not let long hair be elected. Right now, the proposal is that the 1,200 members of the nomination committee will make the decision, and they will make the choice. That's really unacceptable. And any rational person would know that after you've been screened or selected, and if the wrong choice was made, can we ask for a change? Ms. Lau Kong Wah, if you go and buy a pair of shoes, I think if somebody gave you the wrong size, wouldn't you have the right to ask for a change? If the first pair doesn't fit, then you should ask for another pair. Even So what is so mysterious about universal suffrage? So long as you have a candidate has the endorsement of a sufficient number of people, we should allow him to come forward and contest the election. And this is not what the NPCAC want us to do. And Mr. Yu Si Wing, knowing that I have to take part in a foot soccer match, said that where in Carrie Lam's report had suggested that if you have more than 50% of the members of the nomination committee's endorsement, then you will be able to contest the election. Nobody has mentioned this in this council, including the DAB and the FTU. The proposal that there should be 2 or 3 candidates, where does that come from? Even if the NPCAC has to confirm that report or endorse it, it would mean that the report it's acceptable. Then at the most we can have consultation on political reform, and then the consultation should be spearheaded by the government. But the NPCAC has now pulled the shutters. In 2007, Chow Xiaoyang said it very clearly. Otherwise, why is it the NPCAC is imposing all these restrictions twice? The NPCAC is saying that I've made a decision, and then you can make a choice. If the NPCAC made a mistake, they should rectify that mistake, and then everybody will be happy. But that's not possible. Dr. K.K. Kwok. First of all, I'd like to thank all the deputations and individuals for coming here to give us their views. I heard Mr. Lau Kong Wah, the Undersecretary, kept repeating that we shouldn't deny the 5 million voters the right to vote. It will be, the worst is that we only allow 12,000 people to make that decision. What is interesting, and I'd like to ask whether you know that the nomination is going to be made by the 1,200 people, and the threshold is 50% of the votes. So that is not an election. First of all, you have a, pre-election. So what does that mean? So after the members of the nomination committee has, picked their choice, but it will still be, garbage. You're forcing us to choose from among the few candidates that put forward to us who are not acceptable at all. But we want a better candidate. We want better candidates. And Leung Kok-hong has put it very well. He could be a good candidate. So the Undersecretary is here today, and long hair said that he can easily win 300,000, nominations in 5 constituencies. I really very much hope that Leung Kok-hong could be selected as one of the candidates. So, Mr. Leung. Well, could you, Mr. Lau, could you tell us that even Leung Kok-hong will have a chance to come forward as a candidate for this election? Does Dr. Kwok means that we need to tailor-make a system for the sake of one person? No, it could be you, Mr. Lau, or it could be Mr. Chair who is sitting in front of me. I'm just giving you a few examples. If that's not what Dr. Kwok meant, we are now working out a system, and that system has to be fair and competitive. We also hope that we will not guarantee any particular person or political party will definitely, be able to, run in the election. But we cannot, prevent any person or party from, coming forward as candidates. So from the recommendation stage to the stage where the person becomes a candidate, we want to extend the period so the candidates who have actually satisfied the threshold can face the public, and that they do not just face the 1,200 members of the nominating committee, so that they can fight for the right to be nominated. Eventually, who will be nominated or not, I think the public can, have a say, and then eventually 1,200 people will make the nomination. We hope that to make it competitive. And after the candidates have been declared, then the 5 million eligible voters can then cast a vote. So we're talking about 2 rounds of competition. It's going to be very tough competition. There is no guarantee any particular candidate will win. Dr. Kwok, you have contested the election yourself. You know that in any election, no candidate can be assured of, winning or losing. We just want to create a system so that everyone who is in the system will be treated fairly. I'm sure the Undersecretary has not answered my question. What I meant was I don't want, bad candidates. I want better candidates. And one of the individuals, I'd like to put my question to Ms. Cheung, and the other one, whether or not you agree with what the Undersecretary just said. I'm also rather puzzled. I'm here today. Last time I heard people who supported the government, they were actually reciting from the same text. Did they really know what is the, MPCAC decision of August 31st? So I think we're talking about the system and people's livelihood here, but then democracy and people's livelihood cannot be separate from each other. And secondly, we need universal suffrage, because universal suffrage can enable us to improve on the system, and that everybody can live, well in Hong Kong. Anyone else for the first round? Mr. Paul Chair, thank you. Also like to thank all the deputations for coming here on a Saturday afternoon to give us your views regarding universal suffrage. Some of you, and also the deputations in the earlier sessions, have used different examples to make a comparison. If you allow me to also respond to the analogy of, comparing the C election to buying a pair of shoes. Some people also compare the C election to electing a class monitor. And last time, somebody said that if I go to the district, I can write the traditional Chinese couplets for the new year. People should be free to choose whatever content they use to write the couplet. The message I want to bring out is that whenever we're talking about electing the head of state or the head of whether it's a prime minister or president or the chief executive, we have to be cautious and careful.
Now, this is different from election of district councillors. Now, in those cases, we wouldn't be talking about the top official in the territory. Now, the CE has to be responsible for affairs covering the entire territory, and that includes dealing with the Central People's Government. So we have to be careful. Now, after the USA was established during the first century, after that, no political party gained the people's trust. So during that first century, the election method is similar to ours right now. There was no party nomination or party primary, but they have what's called a public primary. That is a nomination by the public. So the nomination is done by the gentry. And then after one century has gone by, the political parties gain the people's trust, but still the political party's membership is still less than 3% of the population, and yet the American people are willing to hand the primaries over to be the responsibility of the political parties. Now, of course, we don't have to copy them, but we can learn from how other societies progressed, how we can move forward in a relatively stable and serious manner. So this doesn't mean that we can, so this means we cannot properly compare with the election of a class captain or writing New Year messages. Now, there is a selection process, a filtering process that is necessary so that we can make a pre-selection from the initial list. Now, I mentioned this several days ago in the chamber. Of course, some members were against this, but they didn't really explain the grounds. Now, I believe it's Dr. Fernando Cheung. He said, have you exercised this pre-selection in your own case? I said I often do that because anyone who has experience in operations will know that very often when we conduct a tender process or when we get a headhunter firm to hire someone, we get people to do a pre-selection first. The process is neutral, but the problem is that people don't trust that they might pass this under this system, like Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Maybe if Mr. Leung Kwok Hong changes his mind, maybe he can go through this pre-selection process. So don't make the assumption that the system is against you. Mr. Yu Pok Him? No. I'm sure that the nominating committee, in accordance with Article 45 of the Basic Law, would not fulfill its function by nominating Leung Kwok Hong, because that candidate has to fulfill certain obligations under the Basic Law. Mr. Kwok is a member of the concerned group about Article 45. Now, says that the Article 45 says that there will be universal suffrage after nomination by a nominating committee in accordance with democratic procedures. Now, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong should listen to other parties. Don't just look at your own political groups. You must take into account the views of the other political parties. DAB has clearly expressed their views. So I was going to ask, well, he has left. Now I was going to ask, it's not yet your turn to speak. How we can convince the Pan-Democrat members to drop their prejudice so that the 5 million eligible voters can vote. But he's not here, so I will withdraw my question. There are 2 other members for the second round, and then after these second round questions, this session will end. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Now, first, I'd like to make a rebuttal. Now, if I have a large number of members of the public recommending me, no, actually, you are saying that I can go through, win and gain the support of the 1,200 members of the NC. Now, you are saying that you went to South America to play soccer, and you get airsick, so you cannot run. Now, you say that anyone can run, provided you demean yourself. Now, but I want to get 200,000 voters support, and you don't allow me. You say that I am preventing others from making progress. Now, people are no longer bothering to argue with you. You say that you are more civil because you use knives and fork to eat human beings. Now, Mr. Tam and Mr. Lau, you like these despicable things. Now, you say that nomination by political parties is okay. Now, you don't read that in Article 45. Now, so the argument is distorted. Now, Leung Kwok Hong, you say that Leung Kwok Hong cannot be a candidate even if he gets 200,000 people to support him, to recommend him. Now, one must not consume feces. Give me an answer. Now, well, some people get a vote and get nominated easily, but why can't I get 200,000 or 300,000 people to recommend me? And you say no. Why don't you let me run? Kokaki. Chairman, just now Mr. Paul Chair spoke. I agree with him. Now, if you supported our proposal in the earlier stage, things would be resolved because we were very clear. All three methods are possible. First, the nominating committee can continue to nominate with its 1,200 members. Now, political parties nomination, that's what happened in the U.S. That should also be workable, and then there should be the third way, civic nomination. Ultimately, it's all to be decided by the electorate. Now, you say that election by 5 million is important, so you can have nomination by all three methods, and then you let the electorate, the 5 million voters, cast their vote. Now, you say it's so difficult, you say it's very tough with the election, with the current nominating committee. Well, why? So why not do it my way? And also, I'm sorry I didn't allow time just now for the representative to speak, so I let the representative who is the leader of the anti-CY Leung group. Now, actually, I don't want privilege. Mr. Lau Kwong Wah, think clearly. If functional constituencies are abolished, you wouldn't be sitting here today. Now, of course, you can say that you enjoy a lot as Under Secretary. If functional constituencies are abolished, you wouldn't lose in the election and become a stupid-looking official here today. Now, also, Paul Chair, don't again speak on behalf of the four sectors. Now, you also were elected directly, having come from the functional constituencies. Now, so you went to Kowloon East, you get a 100 members of the public to support you. So I don't think I think Yip Kwok Him has been all the way hiding behind the functional constituencies. Mr. Tam Yu Chung also got out that way. I'd like to allow some time for the Under Secretary to respond, and then after he has spoken, the session will end. I'd like to respond to several points. Next, first, what Dr. Kwok proposed. Now, on nomination by political parties or civic nomination, it's already outdated approach. We explained many times that the only way to nominate is by the nominating committee. So I think it would be fruitless to wrangle on that. So we should follow up on the MPCSC decision. It's not your turn to speak. Please stay silent. Under Secretary, just now some speakers mentioned carcasses. Now, mentioned now every district is different. Some members, some speakers mentioned trying shoes. Now, each district is different. We should find the right way that is that fits local conditions, and also on the right to nominate. What's your question about the right to nominate? Okay, I've completed my answer. Now this session will end. We have to prepare for the sixth session. Thank you for being here.